Good morning. Good morning, collective. Let me just check all my bells and whistles, make sure we're up. Ooh, she looking cute today. Just kidding. I'm not kidding, but I feel funny, you guys. Energetically speaking, I feel like uh, almost like woozy or foggy or mm, mm, what's the word I'm looking for? Discombobulated, but here, it's all here. It's all mental. Interesting. I did write drugs and excuse me and drugged. So that's something I wrote down. Hello, good morning. I am so grateful to be here. My name is Patience. I am your favorite spirit medium, host of Spirit News on Spotify, where we teach you about non physical energy in real time with my very own spirit team, the Guild of the Golden Triangle. We're here with a heavy topic. I have lots of protection here, I have lots of spirit guides, I have lots of visitors that would like to share energy. So, we're gonna do our best to read it and hopefully give some clarity, some closure to victims and maybe victims' families. Our discussion today is FoxHollow mystery. If you're not familiar with FoxHollow mystery, it's a news spirit news, bringing you higher perspective of linear views. Spirit news. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Before I continue on that, Spirit wants me to. Spirit's like, you need to give yourself a shout out a little more and advertise more about Spirit News. So, we do have a podcast called Spirit News that I was guided to create with Spirit. It's a co creation, and there they give me higher perspective of linear views for things that we don't understand on the earth realm. They help give us a higher perspective, and we put all those nuggets for you. Hi, Amber. Thanks for being here. Good morning. We put all those nuggets for you on Spirit News, which you can find on all major platforms. If you want any of the links, you can go to the description bar to the link tree and find that. All of our socials and every single platform that Spirit News is on, you will find there. The last. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I see what you're saying. The last. Keep asking. Thank you. The last episode we made was called Soul Integration. Um, it's five. It's 5:49 here. I can remind you. Thank you, Spirit. Um, the last episode we made of Spirit News is called Soul Integration. And so that may be part of what's going on with this mystery on a higher perspective. There may have been a lot of people involved that could have been. I wrote a cult here. There's something about the occult. I wrote a cult wannabe. So, and I wrote wannabe. So there's like one person in particular. Um, but there may have been a lot of fragmented souls here, a lot of fragmentation, a lot of dabbling in things that didn't match soul development. Okay. Have an awesome possum day. Hey, Jason. Hey, Big Sean. More fire. You being too silly. You better knock it off. You better knock off that behavior. Just kidding. Okay, sorry. Got distracted. So there could be something having to do with soul integration, which if you want to check that out, basically, Spirit brought forward 444 on the clock. Spirit brought forward examples of people in our society that dabbled with spiritual knowledge that didn't choose to use the knowledge appropriately to heal themselves, to heal those parts of themselves that it was showing them that didn't integrate the fragmented parts of them that they're supposed to do when introduced with high spiritual knowledge. So I think there's like 5 examples. There's Bikram, Chaudhry, there's what's her name? Mother of Sin. What's her name? Valo, um, something Valo. I can't remember her first name. But that's so funny that FoxHollow sounds like Valo. So that's interesting. Um, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, maybe? I can't remember her name, but there's other examples in there. So that could be very related to what happened at FoxHollow. FoxHollow is a cold case that has just been reopened. Thanks, Big Sean. That has just been uh, opened due to the Hulu documentary, and some of the families have actually been able to identify through DNA analysis some of the victims that were found at FoxHollow so long ago. I believe it was 1996. There were there was a you have to watch it to know the whole story. I can't do the whole story here because there's a lot of like weird things that happen, but basically the case got blown open because somebody came forward. His name was Mark, is a very weird character. I can't read his energy because he's still with us, and I don't want to infringe on free will because that's a cosmic law of the universe. And so I don't want to infringe on his free will, so we're not going to do that. But there's many victims. There's 9 identified victims so far out of the 10,000 skeletal remains that were found behind the house of FoxHollow. So I'm sure people who have missing loved ones submit their DNA, they'll be able to match the evidence and be able to see if there's any matches for people who have anyone who went missing in that area between 1990 1996, and even possibly earlier than 1990. So I so you have to check that out if you want to know the whole story. But ultimately, the perpetrator, who is Herb Baumeier, who was married with children, he had um, thrift shops he owned. He was a very wealthy man, or at least what seemed to be a wealthy man. But he was obviously living a double life. Okay, obviously. Um, and he unalived himself when that tip came in from Mark, that character, um, who went to the police and made up a story or something. We don't know. We don't know like the whole truth of the matter. But once he found out that it was out, that Mark ratted him out, he unalived himself. So he kind of took the mystery of what was going on with him. Um, and so we wanna tap in and we want to give some clarity. We want to perhaps add to the investigation. Maybe there's something we can pick up on, like there are tapes. Like, where did those tapes go? Because there's a whole room of tapes that were magically disappeared. There's supposedly a letter hidden behind a picture. Where did that go? How many victims? What were they doing? Why did they do this? What were the ways they did it? Like, what was the purpose? So, we'll find out. We'll get a higher perspective. And we'll try to transmute it. Okay? So, thank you so much for all your love and support. We really appreciate all of your support for our channel. Like I said, if you want to follow any of our socials, go to the link tree in the description part. That is there for you. Let's do this. Okay, Spirit guided me to go to the savers, which I haven't gone in a while because I really only go when I'm called to go. Otherwise I'd have like 50 million trillion gazillion game cards. But I did, for this particular topic, I Spirit guided me to adult trivia, a game cards for adults only, which is so funny because there could possibly be a lot of adult content with this whole mystery. And then they also guided me to Utter Nonsense, um, which is a game. Utter Nonsense is a card game where players combine stereotypical accents with outrageous phrases to create sayings that are just plain ridiculous. So I'm not gonna do the accents because this is an old game. This is definitely not appropriate for our today's day and age. Oh, it says copyright 2015. But I definitely don't want to do any accents. I'm not good at accents. So I got those. So we'll try it. I don't know what's gonna happen. We'll try it and see. Oh, look at this. This was like, this was, I haven't opened these yet. I have not opened these yet. I haven't looked at them. This is the first time. What year is this game from? It looks so old. Let me see. There's no date. But I opened it up and Trivial Development Corporation. And there's these little folded up packets, and then these are rules to the game, which I wrote down games, adult games right here. I wrote down adult games, and look at this. It's like someone chasing someone going na 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 boo boo, and she's like, I'm gonna get you. It's Adam and Eve, because she has an apple in her hand. So that's interesting. Rules to the game. There's rules to this game. Categories: jokes and limericks, miscellaneous, hot times in history, sex and art and literature, the famous uncovered, the facts of life. Okay, and then on the other side, it's the dark side, and the man is chasing the woman. Okay, so that's interesting. All right. I might have, these are by color, so I'm going to use my Trivial Pursuit colors. Holy Divine Spirit. And to all the victims, purple. And to, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Spirit just said herbal, and Herb is the perpetrator of this, or one of the perpetrators of FoxHollow. Holy Divine Spirit, Archangel Michael, please protect my field. If Herb Baumeier is in a healed place and he is ready to come forward with the truth of what happened, I invite him into my energy field with Archangel Michael. If he's not in a healed place, I invite his guides to tell us something. When shadows lengthen. That's interesting, when shadows lengthen. Because I wrote occult wannabe. Distorted illusions about love. I wrote games / adult, drugs / drugged. And I have some questions. I'm not sure how I should do this. Too much disrespect. Too much disrespect. 14. Yeah, Herb might be earthbound still. He's not in a place to come forward, but that's okay. We have his guides, so we can still get a higher perspective of what's going on here. Okay, make sure you're hitting that like button if you're liking the channel and you like the content and the information. Make sure you're hitting that like button so people can find us if they want to be able to contact us for any healing or services that we provide. Make sure you're hitting that like button, as it really helps the channel out. Okay, so let's do some colors. You know what? Instead of asking a question, I'm just going to have them start us off with where they want us to begin at. Where to begin? Spirit, where to begin? Tell us where to begin. So there's definitely something about games, you know, like adult games. Um, I don't know if it started off as a game, um, as a way to get attention or something. I'm going to do orange first. I have orange, 2 pink, 2 brown, yellow, and a green. All right, let's do it. We'll do orange first. What species was seen naked in the film The Planet of the Apes? What species? Humans. Okay. So naked humans. At what stage of life does sexuality begin? Birth. You know, that's funny because and I see prostitution right here. Because all of the victims were gay, and Herb Baumeyer's gay, and Mark, whatever his name, is gay, and they would target gay men and go to gay bars, and those were the main target. Those were all the victims. So that's and you know, what is the debate? Are you born gay or do you become gay? This says, at what age of life does sexuality begin? Birth. So, this is definitely okay. And I also see prostitution here. It says, in 1951, Egypt banned what institution that dated back to the beginning of time? Prostitution. So there's definitely, the games had to do with, there were sex games, kind of sex games. Okay.
Fluctuations in time.
Okay.
Was summoned.
Summoned. I wrote occult wannabe, so we'll see where that goes. What else? We'll do yellow next. Is it myth or fact that penis size is irrelevant to sexual satisfaction? Myth. Example, too large could be painful. Okay. I told you this is about, they're very funny. They're very funny. Some of these victims may have been, what's the word? Experimenting. They may not have like fully understood their sexuality. They may have plausibly. Thank you, Spirit. I'm getting that some of these victims, or it even could be Herb. I'm still learning how to like separate the energies, because really there is no such thing as separation. When all the energies come, it's like an amalgamation of the energy. Oh, that's so funny. Sleeping. I'll speak on that in a second. So there's something here about either I don't know, is it herb or herb? I don't know, it must be herb. There's something here about, yes, thank you, experimentation with sexuality. Model. Oh my god, okay. Um that's so funny. So There's so much information coming in because there's so many victims, okay? There's so many victims. Um, help me get Spirit, please help me streamline this information. It's coming too fast at me. I need it more streamlined. I don't know where to go. Okay, so there may be something about Herb and his penis size, okay? Um, and so he does have a wife, but there's something about like an insecurity stemming from a small penis size or wanting to experiment because of that or something like that, okay? Which in my experience through people I've known have said that that can be something that happens. You just don't attract the opposite sex, and so you start to experiment with what you do attract and who does accept you. Oh, that goes to the distorted delusions about love. Um, who accepts you unconditionally the way you are might not necessarily be what you're attracted to or something. Something like that is what I'm getting. Okay, so and then Spirit said sleeping, which
Austin.
what was that movie? I oh no, it was Miss Mango Butt podcast. Stephanie Sue was telling a story she read, and in the story, it's about a narcissist man who is disgusted by women. He's disgusted by women, but he's not gay. He's actually asexual. He just is disgusted by sex or by I don't know. It didn't specify if he was gay, or if he experimented, but he was disgusted by this woman that he was involved with, and uh, ultimately, the end of the story is she tricks him into taking sleeping pills, like a large amount of sleeping pills that she put into his whiskey. And that's where I got the drugs and the drugged. So there's something about being drugged, possibly with sleeping pills. Okay. And then Spirit also said say yes and model. So Herb Bobmeyer had thrift stores where he had mannequins and stuff. And so there's something about how he would use his thrift stores to appeal to these victims, possibly by lying and saying, do you want to be a model for my thrift store? I need a model. Come back to my place. He took videos or photography or had a place where he did that. So he could have used that as some kind of excuse to get them, um, to get them, to get them, period. Okay. So yeah, there was 10,000 bone fragments found, but only 9 people have been officially identified. And they all range from ages of between 26 to 50. And they're all gay men. Okay? They're all gay men. All right, let's do brown. Which Chicago mayor said, I am not a chauvinist. I believe in rights for every woman but my own? Harold Washington. Chauvinist. Let me look up chauvinist because I think I know what it means, but let me just be sure. What is a chauvinist?
Here's the definition of chauvinist. A person displaying excessive or prejudiced support for their own cause or group, in particular a man prejudiced against women.
I told you, didn't I just say he hated women? That person in the book? Herb Baumeier hated women. Someone's got some mommy issues. I'm sorry, let me just be sensitive about this, okay? He may have some mommy issues. But he married a woman. So we do also want to remember that the time this happened in and the town, this was a very small town. This wasn't like a New York bustling city that was full of, accepting gay people. This is a small town. So he might not have been accepted if he were to live his life like a gay man. So, that you can be very resentful of having to be forced to be with somebody you don't want to be with, and that can make you live in a very shadowy place. He definitely was not integrating that that lesson. He wasn't integrating that. Okay, green. What did the married man want in exchange for his 40-year-old wife? I told you. 2 20-year-olds. I told you. Yeah, he didn't want to be with his wife. He doesn't like women. He's a chauvinist. He's possibly, looks down on women. He thinks women are inferior and blah, blah, blah. Except that's funny because to even be born, he had to go through a woman. So I'm just saying. Tell me more. Pink. What world event marked an end to the Victorian era of sexual attitudes? World War One. World War One. That's interesting because okay, so what I'm getting is when supposedly this Herb Herb Baumeier and the Mark guy had a friendship, or supposedly Mark says no, but Herb says yes. They had some kind of friendship. But what ended this tirade of terror, this run of terror on all these victims, was Mark's saying he was going to go to the police. That started World War One. So there's some kind of conflict between these two. For fear of uncontrollable obscenities, Saturday Night Live was not live for which guest host? Richard Pryor. For fear of uncontrollable obscenities. Saturday Night Live was not live for Richard Pryor. For fear of uncontrollable obscenities was not live. Are you talking about Mark? Because Mark supposedly would have been the only victim to survive being in the presence of Herb Baumeier. So Herb Baumeier might have had a fear about Mark for uncontrollable obscenities. All right, we have 2 more from here. What act did Tang Dynasty Empress Wu Hu insist on visiting dignitaries perform to pay her homage? Cunnilingus. Excuse me. I'm sorry that made me laugh. I did not expect that. I didn't expect that. What act did Tang Dynasty Empress Wu Hu insist all visiting dignitaries perform to pay her homage? Cunnilingus on her. So, this Mark person, according to what we're getting, not reading his energy, but from what Spirit is telling us, is that this person has an uncontrollable something he can't control. That Herb may have feared. Herb may have been in fear of Mark for something he couldn't control, uncontrollable obscenities. Um, he may have
The human experience.
he may have been under some kind of
Joe,
spell
you're in the wrong location.
spell by him because he performed fellatio on him. And this is Herb Baumeier is a person that is still experimenting with their sexuality, that has a small penis, that is very chauvinistic against women, that is possibly newer to this side of life that he's experiencing with his sexuality. So this obscene person it says guest host. So Herb Baumeier owned the FoxHollow farm where all of the victims were lured to, and whoever this person is that he's in fear of, who's obscene, is a guest host, or a partner in crime of sorts. Okay. Um, but he may use sexual acts in order to control Herb, because he likes it. You know,
The balance of light and dark.
the balance of light and dark.
Austin wants to talk.
Okay, one more. Which actor did Rita Moreno, France Nguyen, and Movida have in common? Marlon Brando. I told you that. Okay, so there's some kind of sexual. Which actor did Rita Moreno, France Nguyen, and Movida have in common? Marlon Brando. So there's something that all of these victims have in common. They may have all slept with this one person that Herb Baumeier fears, that's obscene. Okay. Hey, Christian. Thanks for being here. Cursed nature.
Apocalypse.
That's so funny. Spirit just said cursed nature, and the woods that were behind FoxHollow House definitely have earthbound spirits connected to the land because of what happened there, which I do want to find out. I do have a question here, like, what were they doing? Like, why were all the bones scattered all over the woods like that? How did they even get into the woods? Like, the thing that's weird about it is that the distance from the house to the woods is so vast that carrying a full-size man is not going to be easy. 11, Spirit said 11. That's so funny because there could possibly be 12 victims, and Spirit just said 11. So, something about playing games in the woods, just like this picture on the card, like being chased, like some kind of weird, naked and afraid game or something. There's something about that. I'm just gonna do one more just so I have an even amount of cards on the table because that will bother me. The word frigging is from the Old English word frigan, which described what sexual act? Masturbation. Frigging. So every time you say frigging, it means masturbation. Yeah, there's definitely some kind of sex addiction here. Possibly that could be something that connected all these people. They're very active in their root chakras, so or underactive, trying to, oh, that's where the distorted delusions about love, that's where that could come in. Using sex. We also made a Spirit News episode about that. If you want to check that out, it's about sex and energy and how that works. Well, most of the time people equate, especially when you have conditions about who you are. If in the times you were told you can't be gay, you're
Ghost box.
that's a condition to be loved. I won't love you unless you're not gay. So that creates either overactive or underactive root chakra, which is your security chakra, where you feel safe, or you feel secure, or your sexual energy, and you start to become overactive, needing validation through sexual acts. So there's something that all these victims had in common with, they matched energy. Basically, they attracted each other. And so we want to remember that when it comes to energy, that's how it works. When you don't heal certain wounds, when you don't integrate certain dark parts about yourself, you will start to attract people that match that, and you can put yourself in positions due to that energetic response
Pets.
that ultimately can lead to very negative outcomes, very things we don't want to, things we didn't come here to do. We didn't come here to heal. We came here to manifest, to bring our thoughts into reality, to manifest beautiful things. And we've just been like steered off course where we've forgotten that. So we're going into a time where we're starting to remember. So definitely, like I said at the beginning, integration, soul integration has a big part of this whole situation. Okay, so that's very interesting to me. Okay, got it, got it, got it. Okay, so Herb Bob Meyer definitely may have rejected his thoughts of wanting to experiment at a young age. He followed societal accepted norms, I can't be gay, so let me just get a wife, let me have the kids. And that's just, you can't do that. If you have a calling and you're attracted to something other than, then you have to follow what makes you feel good emotionally. This bred a lot of darkness in him, resentment and anger, and emotions that he was pushing down. And then he met somebody who matched that energy, but on like an amplified level, that allowed him to. It's funny because Spirit said the balance of light and dark, and so here's this guy who's repressed his sexual energy for so long that it's turned into a deviancy. And then he meets somebody who matches that energy, who allows him to have those deviant sexual moments together in a very accepted way. But this person is obscene and he's uncontrollable. He does things that scare Herb. Herb is very sexually repressed. And so that's what keeps him bound to this energy, because he gets to experiment carefree with this person, but this person also brings some kind of dark element into his life that's imbalanced. So very interesting energetic dynamic. Very interesting. Okay. I'm not really sure. I've never done utter nonsense. I just opened it. It was taped up. Wasn't even opened. So we'll see. If your moldy shower curtain is any indication, I bet your bed sheets are ready for fall harvest. If your moldy shower curtain is any indication, I bet your bed sheets are ready for fall harvest. Interesting. Please elaborate on that. I don't know what that's referring to. Nasal. Oh, the accent to do it in his nasal. I'll try it. Let me see. Yeah. If your moldy shower curtain is in any indication, I bet your bed sheets are ready for fall harvest. Oh my gosh, I just talked like Mark a little. Oh my god, what? Hmm. Can I have more clarification on that, please? I've got a laxative that can charm a turd out of a constipated man, like Apu can charm a cobra out of a basket. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay. So this character that is very charming. He's very charming. He can talk a cobra out of a basket. He can charm a cobra out of a basket. He's a smooth talker. He knows how to talk to people. Um, but beneath that facade, beneath that charm, he's moldy. He's dirty. He's dark. He has a lot of secrets. He's very promiscuous. Um, he's ripe. He's fresh for the picking. He's a fresh person. Who is this? He could have possibly charmed Herb Baumeier, who's a constipated man. Can charm a turd out of a constipated man. I've got a laxative that can charm a turd out of a constipated man. Like Apu can charm a cobra out of a basket. So he's definitely talking Herb into doing things, whoever this person is. Your kid looks like Joan Rivers and Chewbacca had a love child. He's definitely, this person that Herb fears is definitely someone who's, a, like mentally abusive or emotionally abusive. He says things, the way he says things, it's something about the way he says things, that's very, manipulative. It's very, psychological. Weird. I just saw a group of Japanese girls that weren't giggling.
Landmarks. Make it up.
This person's weird. This person would be considered weird. Um, they possibly do things that are very questionable. Um, they could possibly dress up very clean, like clean shirt, clean shoes, but if you were to use their behavior or the words they say as an indication of their character, you would, instead of looking at them on the outside of what they're showing you, you would see that they're moldy. There's something about them that's not right. If you don't get your grades up, numbskull, you'll be sharing the same underpass with the chowderhead Uncle Richie. This person's prone to... Oh, that's so weird. Okay. if you don't get your grades up, numbskull, you'll be sharing the same. So this person that Herb was in fear of, that he was attached to, may have threatened his life, and unless he, there's something he feared about this person. I don't know. I mean, it had to be fear, many things. Fear of doing something to his children, fear of doing something to, um, people that he worked with, fear of sharing information with people in his family about what they've been doing. There's like many
Field.
field about what they do in the field.
Decoded numbers.
Thank you, Spirit. So that's why he had fear of this person, and why he may have done obscenities with this person, because he already had a sexual relationship with this person, or with this person that he fears, someone who's obscene, someone who's uncontrollable, it said. Someone who perhaps says a lot of curse words, who has who's very charming at first, someone who doesn't show you their true colors at first, someone who may have like a nasally talk, who may talk nasally, or
11.
thank you, Spirit. 11.
Clothing left behind.
Clothing left behind, Spirit said. Okay. So I had some questions. So we know why Herb feared this person, and why he unalived himself. I think this person may be Mark. I can't prove that. This is all allegedly. I have to say that for legal purposes. But there may have been some kind of power dynamic where this person preyed on the weakness of Herb Baumeyer's sexuality. He met Herb Baumeyer at a bar. Insert. He met Herb Baumeyer at a bar, who was ready to experiment, who wasn't happy in the life he created, because he had repressed his sexual energy, and repressed his authenticity, essentially, is what he did. So he wasn't happy. And so he had resentment, he had anger about that. And so he met somebody who matched that, where he could reflect off of this person, to be able to understand himself. But he didn't integrate that. Instead, the person he met, Uncle Richie, that's two references to Richard. I have Uncle Richie and then Richard Pryor. So I don't know if that's relevant, but this person definitely plays mind games, and saw Herb Baumeier as a weak, easy target to be able to manipulate, and used the fear of telling his family, his kids, doing something to him, sharing information, unless he did certain things. And so there's something about that. Okay. I'm not sure what those things are yet. I'm not exactly sure how to find out, but I'll try my best. Okay, where are we at? So where are the tapes at? Because there were tapes. Where are the tapes at? What happened to the tapes? I want to say something about the wife. The wife comes to mind when I say tapes. What happened to the tapes? Because the tapes have everything on them, and we'd be able to see wherever those tapes are, who was involved and what were they doing, and who the victims were. Everything would be on those tapes. Or apparently he taped everything. There's a room with tapes. Tell me about the tapes. Who has the tapes? Who has the tapes? A child. Ugh. Thoughts. Imprisonment. Unexpected income. A privileged lady. Thank you. Yeah, lovers. Yeah, so definitely his wife definitely knows where the tapes are. She could have possibly hid these tapes because she feared imprisonment. Um, because they could possibly have horrible things on it. And she was in her thoughts about whether she should do this. Because she, on the tapes, could be Herb with other lovers. Um, because there's something about prostitution here. He may have taped his sexual escapades with these male prostitutes or something, or paid people to have sex with him. I don't know. Take it, I don't know. Maybe both, but there's definitely she's a privileged lady, which she was, so something about his wife definitely knows where the tapes are at. So I would question her. I'd question her more. She just fears imprisonment for fear. She's in her thoughts um about how he didn't love her. She's in her feelings about that. I think she could have possibly known this whole time or had some kind of inkling that he was, veering off the path of um matrimony, um and that embarrassed her. Something about being embarrassed. She was in her thoughts about that. Um, because he never truly loved her. Okay, she was just a placeholder for him, and he was just pretending. He lived a double life. All right. So she definitely knows where those tapes are at, or she did something to the tapes. What were they doing? Why did they end up in the woods? How did so many victims end up in the woods? How does that happen? What was happening there? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I forgot about the song. I'm so sorry. So all morning in bed, I kept singing this song in my head. It's by SZA. It's called Snooze. 2020. Oh my gosh, it came out in 2022. I've been seeing 222 everywhere. And listen to this. Listen to the lyrics. You're going to freak out. I'll touch that fire for you. I do that 3-4 times again. I testify for you. I told that lie. I'd kill that bitch. I do what all them around you scared to do. I'm not. Long as you jugging out here for me, I got it. Mobbing, skeeving, looting, hide your bodies. Long as you're dreaming about me, ain't no problem. I don't got nobody, just with you right now. Tell the truth, I look better under you. I can't lose when I'm with you. How can I snooze and miss the moment? You're just too important. Nobody do body like you. I can't lose when I'm with you. I can't just snooze and miss the moment. You're just too important. Nobody do body like you do. I can't make this up, you guys. In the drop top ride with you, I feel like Scarface. Like that white bitch with the bob, I'll be your main one. Let's take this argument back up to my place. Sex remind you I'm non-violent, I'm your day one. We ain't had shit, it was magic. Smash and grab shit. Nasty habits take a hold when you're not here. In a home, when you're not here, hard to grow when you're not here. How you frontin' on me and I'm the main one? How you blame it on me and you the main one? How you threatening to leave and I'm the main one crying? Just trying to be your everything, main one riding. I'm telling you, this was a relationship with this obscene, uncontrollable person, and Herb Baumeier might have thought that was love. There's something about distorted love, and he would, and this person knew that he had him by the balls. There was some kind of weird toxic relationship here, where they'd argue and then have sex, and it was exciting for Herb. It was exciting. There's something about his wife knowing about this, but kind of pretending like she didn't know to keep it together for the kids and stuff, because she didn't want to miss out on the income. She didn't want to miss out on the income. Okay? So when Herb unalived himself,
One.
one, when Herb unalived himself, he said something about the videotapes and about a letter behind a picture, which nobody found. So who was the only person that had access to those things? Okay, so she definitely knows something about it. That's too many. Can we do that again, please? Oh my gosh, yeah, look. Yeah, this person is a predator. He's a manipulator. He could charm a cobra out of a basket with his words. Okay, but he's not good. Beware of tricky cats, it says. Okay, Herb is trying to share. There's two different vibes here. I'm not saying Herb Baumeier is innocent. I'm not saying that at all. He definitely participated in this whole thing, willingly, to appease this person, because this person's like, you don't love me. You don't ride or die for me. I thought that we were, just a classic manipulator, gaslighting this person, making him feel bad that he didn't want to. Oh, if you don't do this, you don't love me. If you don't share this with me, you don't love me. Oh, if you do this, I'll give you what you want. Using sex as a way to trap this person. Okay, so that's like, from a higher perspective, the energy of this power dynamic. So there's definitely coercion. There's definitely uncontrollable urges happening here. Okay. What else? Let's all dance. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking of that song. I wish I would have said it before this came out. You know that song, we can dance if we want to, we can leave your cares behind. Cause there is no dancing if they don't dance, then they ain't no friend of mine.
Idiot.
So there's something about here. Okay, so this is weird. Okay, I'm just gonna say what I'm getting. Oh, yep, that's weird. Okay. Yep, I'm just gonna say what I'm getting. Yep. Okay. So there's definitely a lot of drugs going on in this dynamic, partying. So what I'm getting is, what happened was these two are having a same-sex toxic relationship. They would One of them has a sex addiction, or they could both have a sex addiction, but definitely this uncontrollable, um, deviant one who spits out obscenities, who's obscene. Okay, this guy, this tricky cat. Okay, who's a predator. Okay, he's very promiscuous. He has a really bad sex addiction. Okay, he also enjoys being some kind of power dynamic, some kind of, I don't know what his goal is. I don't know. Okay. But what he likes to do is have sexual relations. So they they both of them together moan, thank you. Both of them together lure other same-sex people to a party. They say, we're going to have a party, come be part of our party. But one of them gets very jealous. And I think that's Herb. Herb is new to being gay. He's new to having same-sex relations. It's new for him. He's experimenting, but this other person's very experienced. They're very into it. They're very, you know, they're for everybody. Okay, because they have a sex addiction, and so they invite these people to their house to have these escapades. But Herb gets jealous. And he's like, and he threatens to leave this person alone. And that's the fear that comes in, because then this person is like, well, if you leave, I'm going to tell the cops what we did. I'm going to tell your family what we did. I'm going to tell your kids what we did. And so this guy doesn't want anyone to know. So that's the trap. He's walking on thin ice. That's the trap. Okay. Um, oh, I see. So you see this little piggy? So this is Herb. This is the tricky cat. And then there's a third party here, that may have possibly been able to, team up with Herb to try to trap Mark, or I don't want to say it's Mark, but try to trap this tricky cat. Okay, so that may be a possible motive for why he went to the police first. Okay, because he went to the police first and made up some story so he wouldn't implicate himself, and he ended up being like a hero for breaking the case open. It made it sound like he was some kind of hero in all of this. Okay, but there's something about there's something, I think this has to do with the tapes. 80 has 80% to do with the tapes, because because thank you, Spirit, because there's some kind of evidence trail leading to this person that will implicate this person as being part of the problem. Okay. There's something out there about that. So they do need to keep looking, because there is some kind of trail that will implicate this person 80 to 100%, that the story they spun about, you'll have to watch it to find out what they said, but is not true. But they don't know. They don't know that this information's out there. So there could be somebody else that is going to come forward to bring this, or somebody who maybe finds the tapes, somebody who maybe has the letter that Herb left behind, something to that extent. It could be a child of Herb that finds this letter or these tapes, and they bring them forward. That's going to implicate this person, because this person's gotten away with this for all these years, and they were intimately involved, perhaps even the main culprit of what all happened, what all went down. Okay, and the reason why this person trapped Herb and why Herb ended up unaliving themselves is because he was done with this person. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. You're clearly effed up. There's something wrong with you. He was upset. He was like, I'm just gonna leave you behind. And then he's like, how you fretting on me and I'm the main one trying? How you blame it on me and you the main one lying? How are you threatening to leave and I'm the main one crying? Yeah, because Herb was like, you can't blame it all on me. You are also part of the problem, you know? So this was definitely um, a very toxic relationship that Herb attracted to himself by not being truthful to himself and to the people in his life. He wasn't living authentically. So energetically, when it comes to energy, if you don't want to admit these things about yourself, and I'm not saying everyone's like this to this degree, but that's just this energy. If you're living a lie, of course you're not going to be happy. Of course you're going to attract those kind of events, people, places, things that match that energy of you not being happy. And you're going to continue to experience things that match that until you see, oh shoot, these things keep happening like cycles. These are the cycles that we go through. I have to change something. How can I change it? Well, by first you can start by admitting that you don't Herb never even liked women. It made him hate women because he resented having to be with a woman and not being able to be accepted the way he wanted to be. So, it's a lot. That is a lot. Okay. So, let me see. What were they doing in the woods? Like, how did
Forest.
forest? I just said woods and Spirit
here
said
to
forest.
argue.
So, so they clearly got. So this tricky cat, clearly his intentions every time they lured someone back to the house to party under the guise of a party, they could have possibly, you know, did the sexual thing, and then their main goal was to hurt them in some way, some shape, form, or fashion. Okay, that was their main goal. But how did they get him to the woods? Why did they take him to the woods? Present. They could have possibly they were tricking them, saying, "Oh, come." They could have lured them to the woods under a guise of, "Oh, come to the woods. There's something cool out here you have to see. There's something for you that I have in the woods. Come walk to the woods with me." So they would walk to the woods with them. That's how they got him there. Mask. I told you, pretending, but they weren't being genuine. It was a trick. They weren't being genuine. It was a trick. Sneaky. I told you, they're being fake. They're being sneaky.
Ask me again later.
They're like, yeah, come to the woods. We have this fire. We're dancing by the fire, and we're doing all these things. And come to the woods. It's cool. It's like a party you can be a part of. You know, they're like saying dumb shit like that. But it was a mask. They were being sneaky because they needed to bring them out there for something unexpected, something that they didn't want to do at the house because it wouldn't be the right time at the house, and it would be messy, and it was better to do it in the woods. But in order to get them into the woods, they had to lie to them. What would they say is in the woods? Hiding. I told you, so they could hide it, escape, hiding, blocking. So they could hide what they were doing more easily. I told you. So that's how they got all them to the woods. Yeah, single. They targeted single gay men to bring them to a house for a party. They would put on some kind of show about how they're doing some kind of party in the woods, possibly next to a fire where there's music and dancing in the forest or something. And these people they do drug some of these people, or they are on drugs. I see skiing right here. Skiing, little, little
So I
sugar,
thought.
a little sugar booger. Um,
1900s.
1900s. So they are partying, but these are ravenous. These are ravenous, uncontrollable desires, insatiable appetite for sex. These are a lot of these people have sex addictions, and so they allow themselves to be manipulated because they're already under,
Town.
they're already under influences, chemical,
Masonic.
Masonic, the town Masonic town. I did have occult wannabes, so they could have definitely been doing something in the woods that they considered to be occultish or something, or I don't know. I don't want to tap too much into that energy, but uh, and something about stringing them along, and then when they get into the middle of the woods, then then they reveal the truth, and it would start releasing what they had bottled up, because they're a clown. They're a clown. They like to humiliate and shame, and they would do horrible things in the forest, possibly blindfold them, possibly shackle them up, tie them up, and do humiliating things to them. Um, yeah, forbidden things, things that went against faith. Yeah, they, they were taking a gamble, and Herb didn't want to do it anymore. So he definitely allowed this person to unlock a dark part of himself, and really marinate in that, and he was doing actions in that. So he's definitely guilty. Like, he did do lots of horrible
No
things.
trace.
But he was
Creep.
creep. He's a creep. But he matched this person's energy. So they were a match made in heaven. They were matching energy. But he was afraid of the gossip. He was afraid of the gossip that would happen because this person said, if you leave me, I'm going to do this. And he did. Whoever this person is did. They left, and they told the cops, and they made himself look like this hero. Like he stopped this, sick, perverse creep, when really he is 80% the creep that influenced this person to do these things, and to really really live in that energy and act in that energy instead of integrate it. Okay? Because he thought it was love. He thought he loved this person. It was his first same sex relationship, but only you in reverse. But it wasn't the other person's only same sex relationship. This person is completely promiscuous, and he has a troubled past, and that this person doesn't know about. And he didn't follow the signs. If your moldy shower curtain is any indication, he was very charming, but he didn't see the signs that he was a bad influence, that he's a manipulator. Okay? So, they used, this tricky cat has perverse something. Like
1800s.
1800s. He's into shaming people and humiliating people. He gets off on that, because there's something wrong with him. Okay. He, but that he keeps everything bottled up. He tricks people. He's a snake charmer. Um, he tricked this person into really living in their dark side, and he tricked these people into going to a party. That's how he got, let's let the party keep going. Come back to my house. I have a party in the woods. We'll start a bonfire, and we'll dance naked, and we'll have an orgy by the fire. Like, really, you know, really debaucherous behavior. Okay. Um, so the thing that Spirit wants me to really focus on right now at the end of this is to, if anybody ever watches this and wants to continue trying to unravel this mystery, there's something about the wife and children and them having access to the videotapes or finding the videotapes possibly in a light brown leather suitcase or briefcase. I don't know if that could be located. It's definitely could have also small trophies like articles of clothing. There could possibly be a box that has miscellaneous items from the victims.
Most likely not.
Okay, most likely not. So I think it's mostly the videos and the letter. They are still in occupancy somewhere with either the ex-wife of Herb Baumeier or his children. So I don't know if, if they don't never want to release that information. That's one other thing, but I think that there is somebody that's going to come forward, because look at the hole he's cutting around this tricky cat. So there is somebody, maybe this is a prediction, a premonition, that somebody will come forward who has that to implicate this person. Okay, because otherwise this person's walking around free doing whatever they want, and that ain't right. Okay, for the level of sickness they have. Okay. So some of the victims who were identified was Roger Allen Goodlett, Michael Frederick Kieran, Stephen Sperlin Hale, Manuel Resendez, Jeffrey Allen Jones, Richard Douglas Hamilton, Johnny Bayer, Alan Wayne Broussard, and Alan Livingston. We want to say thank you to all those who came forward to help us get a higher perspective of what happened here. And ultimately, what we want to do is try to understand how you get here. How do you go from point A to point B? And it's always some kind of emotional hang up, something that you're not integrating that leads you to match energy and bring in and attract energy that matches the energy you're in now. Okay, so we'll get the lesson here. What's the lesson here? Thank you so much for sharing. What's the lesson? It takes real courage to love someone, to be exposed to that kind of vulnerability for the guarantee of absolutely nothing in return. But it also takes the same kind of bravery to admit that you are no longer willing to love a person. Amen to that. Basically, if Herb had just admitted to himself and to his family that I'm not happy, this isn't what I want, it wouldn't have grown into such anger and resentment and hatred for the very person he chose to be with. And in that hatred and in that marination of anger and resentment, he attracted somebody who was equally in that dark emotion. But this person was more active in that emotion, and he attracted that energy in order to be able to say, oh no, I don't want to get to that level. Let me just, fix where I'm at now. Instead, he chose to allow this person in his life and show him dark things that he couldn't take back. He couldn't walk away from, that he decided to entertain. He got in too deep. He was in too deep. And he did all the things with this person. Instead, he could have just recognized that within himself and admitted that to himself and took accountability that I'm not living authentically. I don't love this person. I don't love myself in this life I've chosen for myself. If he had just admitted that to himself from the beginning, that would have been the bravest, most courageous thing he could have done to get him away from living in this dark energy. And that's how energy works. So, anything else? Is there anything else you want to share with us? You're not a set thing locked into the tissue of your organs or trapped in the minutia of your plasma. You're not your toes or your hair or your eyes. You are most certainly not your past. You are not your middle school or your dad or that neighbor who fucked with your head. That's right. That's right. You can change at any time. No one is forcing you to do these horrible things. No one is forcing you to be that person you don't want to be. No one's forcing you to take these actions or do these things you're doing. You have to choose to not do them. 222 on the clock. You have to make a choice to decide to see, this doesn't make me happy emotionally. I'm not happy. And the more things I do to hurt people, that's not making me happy either. Okay? Physical pleasure is not equivalent to emotional happiness. Physical pleasure is not love. Momentary, fleeting physical pleasures are not love. You can't replace physical pleasure with emotional stability or emotional happiness or fulfillment. They're not going to, imaginably, they're not going to replace each other.
Traumatic.
When you are emotionally happy in your heart and you are fulfilled and you're being authentic to who you are, who you feel good being, you will be happy. But there's nothing outside of yourself that you can do, no amount of actions you can take, no amount of people you can have sex with, or no amount of people you can hurt that will make you feel happy. It's just, that's just an impulsive, momentary, fleeting action that's taken that isn't going to lead anywhere. It's just going to be another one and another one and another one. And that's why there are so many victims, because they're chasing that feeling that they get in that split second of thinking that that excitement of doing something that's very against their soul is love. And that's why I wrote distorted love here. They had a distorted idea of what love is. Okay? So I hope that helps. I hope that helps in any way. I'm happy to be here to transmute it. Thank you so much for the victims, for coming forward, for sharing what happened from a higher perspective. And we love you so much. We'll see you on the next one.
Sight.
Bye.
Hush.